My boss said if you can't handle noise, maybe you should work in a library after I asked to mute his screaming parrot during Zoom calls. So I printed 400 flyers advertising a free bird show at his address and left them at every desk in the building. The next morning, his porch was covered in Birdcages and Squawking. I didn't expect it to blow up like it did. I just wanted to embarrass him a little, make him feel what I felt every morning when his parrot screamed into my ears during client calls. But that morning, when I pulled into the office parking lot, everything changed. People were crowded around the lobby, laughing and holding up their phones. Someone even printed out one of the flyers I made and pinned it to the break room corkboard like it was an event poster. That was when I started to worry. This wasn't going to stay quiet. It had been less than 24 hours since I dropped those 400 flyers on every desk, bulletin board, windshield, and mailroom cubbyhole. Just a simple printed ad. Free exotic bird show, one day only. Come see your air talking birds. Bring your own cage for trading. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Address. Boss's full name and address. By 10:05 that morning, I got a text from my coworker, Dean. It was a photo. His porch covered. Covered in cages. Covered in folding chairs. Covered in strangers. And covered in birds. So many birds. Cockatoos, macaws, finches, parrots. Every color, every size. All squawking over each other. There were signs taped to his mailbox. Where's the show? Here for the bird auction. Do you take trade-ins? Someone had even set up a table selling bird food. Apparently, a few local bird breeders took the flyer very seriously. Word spread on a Facebook bird group. Someone posted the event to Craigslist. A lady with a YouTube bird training channel even showed up with a camcorder and a cockatoo wearing a vest. He called out of work that morning. HR said he was dealing with a home disturbance. No one knew the details yet, but the rumors flew. Some people thought he was having an affair, and the bird show was a code phrase. Others thought it was a sting operation. One guy in IT swore up and down that animal control had been called to break up a bird riot. But I knew the truth, and I couldn't stop smiling until I saw him the next day. He came in late, hair a mess, eyes dark, no tie, just stood there in the doorway of the break room as people slowly stopped talking and pretended to look busy. He looked at me, dead on. I froze. My smile vanished. Because in that moment I realized something. He knew. That stare didn't say what happened. It said, I know what you did. He didn't say a word, just turned around and walked out. For the next 2 days, he didn't show up at all. Then came the email. A company-wide notice from the office manager. Due to recent disruptions to a staff member's personal residence, we are reviewing security procedures. Any malicious behavior tied to private employee information will result in legal action or termination. My stomach dropped. He wasn't going to let it slide. Then it got worse. I got a call from a blocked number that night. I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. Hope the birds were worth your job. Next morning, I was called into HR. They had a printout of the flyer. Someone had turned it in. But it wasn't just that. They had security footage. The cameras by the back mailroom caught me dropping stacks of flyers on desks after hours. I sat there, watching the blurry black and white video of myself becoming my own downfall. The HR rep looked uncomfortable. This is serious, she said. You could be fired for this. But I didn't get fired. Not yet. Instead, they suspended me for a week. Unpaid. It felt like getting punched in the gut. But then something happened I didn't expect. I started getting emails. Anonymous ones. One said he deserved it. That bird'd been driving us all insane for months. Another. He mocked a new hire till she cried. He's a jerk. He just gave him a taste of his own chaos. And then an email from someone in upper management. Off the record, bold move. It was strange. People started treating me differently when I came back. Some coworkers acted nervous, like I was radioactive. But others? They treated me like a hero, like I did something they all wished they had the guts to do. I didn't expect what came next, though. He filed a police report for harassment, for orchestrating a public disturbance. And the worst part? He claimed some of the birds left behind damaged his property, his fence, porch screen, and apparently, one bird pecked the paint off his car. I laughed when I first heard it, but then I got the knock on my door. An officer, real badge, real notebook, Are you aware of any false advertisements tied to a bird event at this address? He asked. I told him no, but my hands were shaking. I thought lying to the cop would buy me some time, but deep down, I knew it wouldn't be the end of it. Sure enough, 3 days later, I got served. A formal complaint from my boss. Real paperwork. Real lawyer's name on it. He was suing me in small claims court for property damage, public nuisance, and something called emotional distress. He claimed the whole thing caused his wife to leave with their toddler and stay at her sister's for safety. He said they couldn't sleep for days because people kept driving by, ringing the doorbell, and asking if the rare white parrot was still available. I almost laughed, but then I saw the number. $8,500. That's what he was asking for. I had no clue how I was going to fight this. I didn't have that kind of money. I didn't even have a lawyer. But someone unexpected did. Dean, the same guy who texted me the photo of his porch full of birds. He asked if I wanted to get a drink after work. I said yes, mostly because I needed to get out of my head. But then, over 2 beers and a basket of fries, he leaned in and said, "Look, man, I've been wanting to tell you something. I know he's coming after you, but you're not the only one he's done dirty." "What do you mean?" I asked. Dean looked around the bar like he was about to confess to a crime. He's been harassing people for years, verbally, even borderline racist stuff to the cleaning crew. I've kept screenshots, messages. You're not alone. I was stunned. Dean reached into his jacket and pulled out a flash drive. There's more. Audio clips. Remember when he screamed at Rosa from accounting because she didn't laugh at his joke? I recorded it. HR buried it. I didn't know what to say. For the first time since the bird thing, I didn't feel alone. Dean wasn't the only one. Over the next week, I started getting more messages. Coworkers, former employees. One guy who used to intern there emailed me a full document outlining all the complaint that had gone nowhere. Stuff that could have gotten our boss fired years ago. Turns out, he had friends in upper management. That's why nothing ever stuck. But the bird stunt? That got attention. People started digging. And not just inside the company. One of the breeders who showed up at his house, she ran a pretty big YouTube channel. Over 300K subscribers. She made a video titled, "Scammed Bird Event." We got tricked into a suburban nightmare. She blurred his house. But the story went viral. Over 1 million views in a week. And suddenly, reporters started calling the office. Not about the bird show about him. His name was now tied to a viral bird hoax. And local bloggers were trying to figure out who he was. That meant people started talking. A former employee named Brianna wrote a Medium post titled, "My boss's parrot screamed, but his words were worse." She detailed every time he made fun of her clothes, mocked her accent, and berated her in front of clients. The post spread fast, real fast. By the time I showed up in court for the small claims case, something shifted. He was there, same suit, same smug face, but something fell off. He didn't even look me in the eye when the judge walked in. We both told our sides. He brought pictures of his bird-damaged porch and a video of his toddler crying over a bird screeching outside their window. He went all in. I stayed calm. I didn't bring up his attitude or his past or his harassment. I just told the truth. I was trying to make a point. I went too far, but I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. The judge looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "Mr. Keller, have you submitted any proof that the defendant invited these people individually, or that he promised an actual service?" He shifted in his seat. "Well, but he made the flyer." She nodded. "And you brought that to your employer's HR, correct?" "Yes." Yet no formal action was taken. His face turned red. The judge shook her head and sighed. While the court agrees the event caused significant disruption, the lack of clear damages and the viral nature of the incident makes direct liability hard to prove. Case dismissed. Just like that. Done. He didn't even speak to me when we left the courthouse. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 days later, everything blew up. A whistleblower from HR leaked internal emails to a journalist from an online labor blog. Real emails. From our boss. Racist jokes. Sexist comments. Even one where he threatened to fire that mute account if she doesn't start smiling. The story hit Twitter, then Reddit. Our /anti-work tore him to pieces. By Friday, the company's official X, Twitter, page posted a vague statement about respect in the workplace. That same afternoon, they locked down our boss's office. He was placed on administrative leave. Then we heard he was terminated. No severance. But the twist? He blamed me. He told people in his circle that I started all this because I couldn't handle a little noise. That phrase haunted me. If you can't handle noise, maybe you should work in a library. Those words started everything. I thought it was over. But then something weird started happening. It started small. A news story here, a blog post there, a meme or two floating around Reddit, all mocking a middle-aged man with a loud parrot and a louder mouth who got taken down over a fake bird event. He tried to lay low, but the story wouldn't die. 3 weeks after he was fired, someone found an old video of him from a work conference. He was giving a talk on respectful leadership and used phrases like, "There's no room for ego in this company." The comment section was brutal. By then, the whistleblower had sent more internal documents to reporters. Names, screenshots, dates. Turns out he'd been protected by a VP who quietly resigned once the heat hit. 3 more people in leadership got restructured within 2 months. It didn't end at work. One day I was scrolling through local news when I saw it. Former tech exec faces harassment allegations. Community demands HOA action. His neighbors turned on him. After the bird show mess, there had been constant noise complaints. Turns out the parrot wasn't his only loud pet. He had 2 cockatoos he kept outside during the day, and a red-fronted macaw that mimicked screaming. After the porch incident, a group of neighbors demanded he remove the birds or face HOA fines. He refused. His pride wouldn't let him back down, so they fought back. One of the neighbors started filming the birds every morning and posted clips with the hashtag #SquawkWars. The videos got hundreds of thousands of views. Strangers began driving by just to hear the chaos. Then someone made a TikTok of all the viral clips and called it. When the bird man gets a taste of his own screech, it blew up. A week later, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. His wife. Her name was Colleen. We'd only met once, briefly, during a holiday Zoom call where she brought the toddler in to say hi. She looked tired even then. Her message was short. "I know what he did to you. I'm sorry. I didn't know half of it until recently. I'm filing for divorce." I didn't reply. It didn't feel right. But I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. Then the HR rep who suspended me reached out. She asked if I'd be willing to speak with the company's new leadership. They were cleaning house, building a new culture. I said no. I'd had enough. But I heard from Dean later that she'd quit a month after that call. Said she couldn't live with how much they'd covered up. Then came the final twist. About 2 months after the lawsuit, I was out grabbing groceries when someone called my name. I turned, and there he was. He looked nothing like before. No suit, no swagger. His beard had grown out gray and messy. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He was wearing joggers and a hoodie that hung off him like it was too big now. He walked up and stood just far enough that he wasn't in my space. But I could feel how angry he was. "I lost everything," he said quietly. "My job, my house. My wife won't let me see my kid. They think I'm some kind of monster." I didn't say anything. He shook his head and smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. "You happy now?" That's when I spoke. "No, I didn't want this. I just wanted the screaming to stop." He laughed once bitterly. "You wanted power. You couldn't take a joke." I stepped forward. My voice stayed calm. "I asked you, respectfully, to mute your parrot during calls. You mocked me in front of clients. You laughed when people were uncomfortable. You made a workplace toxic. You created this." He stared at me for a long time. I could see it in his face. He wanted to blame me for everything. He needed someone to blame, but he just muttered, "Whatever," and walked away. That was the last time I saw him. Word got around later that he moved back in with his older brother in Modesto, tried applying to a few companies under a different name, but the bird story followed him. A Redditor found one of his job applications on LinkedIn and commented, "Beware, known parrot screamer with a history of HR complaints." It got 3,000 upvotes. Meanwhile, I left the company 2 months later. Took a job in Portland, smaller office, better people, quiet. I don't talk about it much anymore. Most of the people who supported me back then moved on. Dean and I still text sometimes. The woman who blew the whistle now runs a consulting firm that helps clean up toxic workplaces. She told me once, If you hadn't cracked the first hole in the wall, none of this would have come out. I still think about that bird. Sometimes when I hear a parrot in a pet store, I freeze. I can still hear the shrieking in my head, the mocking tone, the way he laughed when I asked for peace and quiet. But I also remember that morning, when I walked into work and saw the break room covered in flyers, coworkers howling with laughter, and someone muttering, "This is the greatest thing that's ever happened in this office." And for a second, I smile, not because I ruined his life, but because I stood up, because for once, the noise wasn't mine to carry. It was his, and the world finally heard it.